Hi guys, so today I'm going to be bringing to you a Blizzwall and a Blizzblock guide. I'm going to be explaining what they are and how they work, how to set them up, when to use it and when to not use it, how to deal with some counterplay, and then a few more advanced things such as movement options, and I'll also be explaining the difference between the two because it is quite a significant difference. So both Blizzwall and Blizzblock are decent neutral strategies that we can use. So Blizzwall looks a little bit something like this. It's just putting out desynced blizzards out in front of you, and it's for the purpose of stopping your opponent from approaching you easily. And it's really good at shutting down approach options, and it's just, yeah, it's good. So you can set it up just by getting into a desynced state and then alternating blizzard between both climbers. So I'm using landing lag desync to set it up, and then I'm just pressing B, so there's always just a wall of ice out in front of me. So when you should use it is, generally speaking, there's a couple different matchups where Blizzwall is quite good. Those matchups are generally where the opponent doesn't have really any options that can get through it, or they don't really have disjoints. So I'm talking about characters like Fox or Mario, characters like that, where they just have to approach, but also don't really have access to options that beat Blizz. So options that beat Blizzard are called Blizz beaters, and right about now I'll be showing like a spreadsheet that has everything on it, and you can see what kind of moves beat Blizz. It covers pretty much everything, I think. When you should use it is as a defensive strategy in neutral if you're comfortable playing desynced. If you're not comfortable playing desynced, don't go with Blizzwall or Blizzblock, because more often than not you will get punished for it, because playing desynced is quite risky because you're committing frames. It means that when I'm doing Blizz, I'm committing these frames. I can't move with Popo when I'm doing that, so you're committed to doing the thing. So both Blizzwall and Blizzblock offer a bunch of versatility, because it just means that you can cover multiple options at the same time, which is really, really valuable. And when you shouldn't use it is against characters that can just completely negate Blizzwall and just like have moves that go through it. I'm talking about like Palatina's side B, Zelda's Phantom, Zelda's side B, Zelda's neutral B, Zelda. Characters like Min Min, or generally the characters that we lose to have options that just completely negate Blizzwall. How to deal with some counterplay to Blizzwall. So a lot of the time, counterplay to Blizzwall is to jump over it, and like your opponents will just like try and jump over you while you're doing like that. They'll try get above you. So assume Mewtwo's an actual person. I wouldn't be Blizzwalling this in this situation like out in the open. Oh god. Yeah, there we go. I wouldn't be like just Blizzwalling here, because he'd just come over me and then like do a nair or something, and then oh no, I'm in disadvantage. So generally speaking, when you're Blizzwalling, under a platform is a really safe place to hide, because like no one can cut, like people, it's very, very difficult to touch you here, because they either have to come through in like this area here, which I'll stay still so I can draw it out, but yeah, they can either come through underneath the platform and then they have to contest with Blizz, which a lot of characters can't do. A lot of characters can, but we don't use Blizzwall in those matchups. Or they have to try and fall through the platform, and then that's quite tricky because, I mean, you're under it. So, and if you use a move, you can't fall through a platform. You have to be falling through the platform and then use the move. But we can just up tilt someone if they try to do that, and then all of a sudden we have a big combo. And another way that people can try to deal with it is by just jumping behind you. In that situation, say the Mewtwo was just to like jump behind me, then generally safe options are to either up tilt or just shield and then become synced again, or you can keep the Blizzwall going the other way. So if they jump over me, then I can go like that. And yeah, Blizzwall is really good at applying corner pressure as well. So right now, that's a lot of corner pressure, and oh no, they died. Yeah, so Blizzwall's good at pressuring people in the corner because they're either forced to eat the hits, try and roll through, jump, or shield. The worst options in that situation are getting hit and also shielding. A lot of people will shield there. If they shield, you can get a cheerless grab and then just kill them for it. It's quite funny. So in this example, I'm just going to hit them with Nana's Blizz and then get it, and then get a cheerless grab off of it, and just show you how you can kill someone if they either get hit by Blizz or try and shield it. So like that. So if they get hit by Blizz on shield, they're locked in shield. So if it's Nana's Blizz hitting them on shield, then they're trapped. They can't do anything, and then you get a free grab and then you can kill them. So that's Blizzwall. Blizzblock is Blizzwall's like cousin almost, where it's a similar concept where you're alternating desynced options between the climbers, and it's also a desynced neutral strategy. But you're using Ice Block in between. You're using Ice Block Blizzwall instead of just Blizz, 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 Blizz. So it looks something like that. The reason that Blizzblock is better than Blizzwall is it is very good at blocking projectiles. So a lot of projectiles, such as Mewtwo's Shadow Ball, get through Blizz quite easily. So let's just set him to neutral special. And I'm going to Blizz. Whoops, that was a little bit late. Ugh. See how his neutral B went straight through me? And it just dealt damage. That's because Blizz isn't strong enough to stop a lot of projectiles. It can stop some projectiles, such as like Young Lake Arrow or like Pikachu's T-Jolt, but strong projectiles just go straight through it and then we eat the damage. So the reason that Ice Block is really good against those kinds of projectiles that beat Blizz is it means that the Ice Block instead just deletes the projectile, and especially against characters with charge moves, it means that they've wasted all that time charging just to have the projectile deleted by an Ice Block. But also with the strong projectiles such as Charge Shot or a fully charged Shadow Ball, it can send Ice Block back at us. And ideally we want to avoid as much damage as possible, because who doesn't? So what you can do in that situation is, if you're desynced, you throw out Ice Block with Popo. Ice Block is our neutral B. You throw that out with Popo, which eats the projectile. And then you Blizz with Nana, which sends Ice Block back if it gets sent back by the projectile. A little bit confusing, I'll try to show you what I mean. So, you know what, I'm probably just going to try to show this actually playing against the CPU, and then just show you how Blizzblock works against, like, okay, not a living, breathing opponent, but like an opponent that's actually moving. So I'll try and show both. Might be a little bit rusty, but we'll see how we go. So you see how I won that stock pretty much just only using Blizzwall and Blizzblock? So that's how it can be used as a defensive tool, and it's really, really good at camping. It's one of, I'm probably going to say it's one of the best camping options in the game, because we can just sit under a platform and use it, and it just straight up wins certain matchups, and it makes other matchups very, very difficult for the opponent. And yeah. So now I'll also play a couple clips of people that are actually good at Blizzwall and show you what kinds of things that they can do. So there's a really good GIF by PrinceDemo who shows some really, really nice Blizzblock movement, and yeah. So the reason that this is a good example of Blizzblock movement is that Nana's sliding on the ground, and Popo's actionable a lot of the time. So in this situation, Demo is able to just react to whenever the opponent might be able to try and deal with it, and then just punish appropriately. Alright, now I'm going to cover some of the movement with Blizzwall and Blizzblock. So there's a bunch of movement options that we have access to through like beer reversing, wave bouncing, short hops, full hops, Nanapulting, all that stuff I'll explain. So first I'll just cover Blizzwall because it's a little bit easier. Blizzwall, there's a couple different things you can do. One of them is like advancing. If you want to advance with someone, you can advance with little short hops. That's really good because it covers like the area kind of like diagonally upwards a little bit, and it means that we can clip certain characters. Like if characters try and jump, we can kind of clip them with the edge of Blizz, and then they can get stuck in it. So little short hops are nice. The only downside to them is some of the time low flying projectiles like Young Like Arrow, they can kind of creep under then clip and then like hit us in the foot, which is a little bit annoying. But for the most part, it's a pretty solid way to approach with Blizzwall. And also just covers more area in general, which is quite nice. Another thing you can do with Blizzwall is you can beer reverse the Blizzes. Beer reversing just gives you a little bit more versatility and options when it comes to Blizz, and also choosing which way you want to face, because if you're not good at catching people crossing you up when you're using Blizzwall, then people can just get behind you and then kind of just shaft you almost, if that's the right word for it. But yeah, they can get behind you, and then if you don't turn around in time, or if you're not confident with beer reversing, then it's not a fun time. And then wave bouncing is nice as a mix-up, but usually I just find that just doing regular beer reverses is enough for movement. So next thing I'll cover is Nanapulting. This will be the last thing I do for Blizzwall. Nanapulting is where you just send Nana out of Popo's range, but do it in such a way that she just keeps on going rather than trying to come back to Popo. And it means that we can cover a lot of area with Nana. But yeah, we can just cover a lot of area with her. So I'll show you one way that I do it. Oops. So that's one way you can Nanapult. So that setup I use is Soy Milk up tilt, and then I'm dashing forward with Nana and then kind of doing like a quarter circle like that. So oops, that was accidental beer reverse. So that kind of thing. So it's dashing forward and then roll down so that you can input Blizz and then keep moving forward. And yes, I know, quarter circle input, oh no, what do? You'll be fine. It's also important to note that you generally need to use a full hop to make it work well. But yeah. The reason Nanapulting is good is it means you can cover area on platforms, which is really good on stages such as Smashville, which is generally considered to be our best stage, but also platforms like Battlefield, and it means that you can cover. It just gives you a lot more confidence when blizzballing that you can cover more options. And also it's quite fun when you're retreating and then just chuck out a Nanabolt. It's like you can't get me now. So now I'll be covering some of the Blizzblock movement. So disclaimer, I'm not that great at Blizzblock, so I'll show you a little bit of what I know, but then also analyze some clips of people who are much better than me at Blizzblock and kind of break it down and show you how it works. And yeah, well, the big benefit that Blizzblock has over Blizzwall is that it gives you more options with Popo where you're not committed to Blizz, you're doing Ice Block, and for the rest of that time you're free. Generally speaking, you want to be doing Ice Block with Popo because having Nana committed to Blizz, you can get her to slide around a little bit. So generally speaking, you want to have Popo being the one doing the ice block, because if you use your movement properly with beer reverses and short hops and that kind of stuff, you can actually get Nana to slide along the ground while she uses Blizz, which is very, very powerful. So see how Nana was kind of like sliding back and forward? That makes where Blizz is quite ambiguous, because normally when we use it, our momentum is fixed, or like if we use it on the ground, we can't like move around while using it. But with Blizzblock, Nana moves around if we're within range and tries to follow us. One more thing, this is just a fun fact about Blizzwall. So if you're desynced and you hold shield, press B, and then release shield, but keep holding B, it buffers the B action for the next climber. So for example there, I was doing landing like desync, and then I was doing shield, B, drop shield, and then Nana did ice block. That kind of thing it means that you can maintain a desync while shielding, or you can just use the shield drop animation itself. So that thing's just something fun that you can do, and it can help maintain a desync. And so final thing, so what I'm going to do is I'll make a tier list of characters where Blizzblock is a good idea, and characters where Blizzwall or Blizzblock is a good idea, characters that it's situationally okay to do, and then characters which just do not touch, do not do. Because that kind of thing, I think, will be quite helpful. And yeah, so I'm just going to be talking about the kinds of characters that we do Blizzblock against, do Blizzwall against, do both against, and then characters that it's either situational or we just don't do it against at all. So this is helpful for like matchups and just understanding when to use Blizzblock and Blizzwall. So the characters at the top are when Blizzblock is significantly better than Blizzwall, but most of the time you can still use Blizzwall. So for a character such as Mario, Blizzwall is good because it stops his approaches, but also Blizzblock is good as well because it stops Fireball and also sends projectiles to pressure him. With DDD, it's much the same, where Blizz doesn't stop Gordo, but Ice Block sends it back at him. So if you Blizzblock, then you're able to reflect Gordo back at him, but if you're doing just normal Blizzwall, you can't. Another example in this section is Wii Fit Trainer, where Wii Fit's neutral B isn't stopped by Blizz if it's fully charged. So Blizzblock is obviously a lot better because it stops neutral B, but both Blizz and Ice Block stop their soccer ball, or like side B. So mixing up between the two is actually quite versatile in these kinds of matchups where Blizz deals with one projectile but not the other, but Ice Block deals with both. The second tier, Blizzwall and Blizzblock both work well on neutral. It's really up to you whether you like which one you would choose or not. Most of the characters in it are pretty standard of just Blizzwall and Blizzblock are either amazing or they work well. So a character like Squirtle, Blizzwall and Blizzblock just destroy this character. There's no reason to not Blizzwall or Blizzblock against Squirtle. But a character like Peach, for example, you do need to be a little bit more careful because they can go over with, like, they can float over you in down air or something like that. So it's still, this tier is like a Blizzwall and Blizzblock work, but be a little bit mindful of what you're doing. The tier below this is Blizzblock and Blizzwall are very situational. They generally have a move that can get through Blizzwall. Banjo, Wonderwing. Wonderwing just says no to everything. And then like some of Corrin's moves like Side B, Nair can reach through Blizz. Fox and Falco have laser. The Pits have quite disjointed forward airs. Joker has gun. Ganondorf and Falcon have both down B. Steve's golden minecart can sometimes get through, and like his down tilt might trade or something. The Mii's are kind of a mixed bag because Sword Fighter, some of their projectiles go through. Tornado one definitely goes through. Mii Brawler, Shot Put goes through, I think. Goes through both Blizzwall and Blizzblock. But, of course, there are always situations where you can use Blizzblock and Blizzwall. So, again, just going through some of the characters I've gone through. Banjo, when he's out of Wonderwing, go for it. Blizz destroys Grenade and deals with Egg. So that's when Blizzwall's quite good. It's because he doesn't really have many options to deal with it. Captain Falcon, if you've got a read on when they're going to use Falcon Kick, then it's really not that difficult. Just pressure them a little bit with Blizz and wait for them to Falcon Kick, and then you can shield up smash with Popo or Nana. A character like Rob, for example, he's quite big, but laser goes through Blizzwall. But if he doesn't have any laser left, then Blizzwall's pretty good, and Blizzblock's also pretty good because it's hit by it. Terry Crackshot goes through Blizz, and then like characters like Charizard, his Flare Blitz goes through Blizz, but it can get stopped by Ice Block. So again, it's a situational thing. Then the rarely never tier is like basically never Blizzwall or Blizzblock because they have it either an option or a variety of options which just go through it without any questions asked. So some characters just have a lot of range, such as Cloud and Shulk, where like Cloud, Shulk, Pyro, Mithra, Sora, where they just have so much range that there's no point even trying to Blizzwall or Blizzblock. Actually, I'd probably move Sephiroth down here. Oops, my bad. And then there are characters that have either moves or projectiles that completely ignore Blizzwall. Like Duck Hunt is a little bit finicky with Blizz because it blows up and then we get hit by it. Greninja has Sneak and Shuriken. Hero has his spell menu. He has Bounce. He has Side B. Inkling, I didn't really know where to put her, so I put her here because our neutral strategy against her is just turn away shield. Little Mac has Super Armor, K-Rool has Crown and Neutral B, both go through Blizz and Ice Block. Gunnar is Gunnar, Min Min is Min Min, Pac-Man has projectiles, Palu has Side B and Invincibility on her back air and dash attack. Plant has Neutral B, Side B, Down B. Belmont's a Belmont's. Robin has Neutral B. Side B clanks with a lot of things, which are nice. Snake has Grenades. Sora has his Thunder thingo, and he's just got a big sword, and Zelda is Zelda. So, yeah. This is just my own opinions on who to Blizzwall against, who to not Blizzwall against. So, some of them probably a little bit questionable, but yeah, this is hopefully pretty accurate, and yeah. So, yeah, thanks for sticking around, and I hope this helped.